Good evening. I'll call the City Commission meeting to order for Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. We'll have roll call by Melissa Carr.
Commissioner Edwards.
Here.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Here.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Here.
Mayor Maples.
Here. We will now have our invocation by Pastor Jason Swindell from Convergence Church. Please stand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you, staff, and thank you for all the work you guys do. It's much appreciated. So let's pray. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this wonderful day, for this wonderful staff and commissioners that do the work that is needed for this city. Lord, as Jeremiah said in the Word, Lord, we pray for this city. We for the peace and prosperity of this city, for in that peace and prosperity of this city is my peace and prosperity. Father, I thank you, Lord, that they would seek your wisdom and seek your ways, follow your statutes, Lord. I just thank you, Lord, that you would just bless them in all their ways. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now have a review of our agenda, our consent agenda, the City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, March 11th, 2025.
We do have a review of the agenda. We need a motion for.
Yeah. I'll make a
sorry.
motion to amend the agenda to remove the electric rate ordinance from new business and to add an executive session to discuss matters deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship.
I'll second. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Mayor Maples, to amend the agenda to remove the electric rate ordinance from new business and add an executive session to discuss matters deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Okay, now we will move on to our consent agenda. And we have the commission meeting minutes from Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Number 2, Resolution R-25-26, a resolution to authorize the execution of an agreement between the Coffeyville Recreation Commission and the City of Coffeyville for lease of city property and facilities. And then we have our 2025 appropriation ordinance number AO-25-06 in the amount of $1,641,462.42.
Okay. Does he have anything he wants to say
Did you
about
want to
that?
do you want to say anything before we go to the appropriation ordinance?
I'll just mention item 2 on there, the resolution for the agreement. The agreement with City Rec has been variation of 4 to 6 different agreements of varying page length, and so based on both recommendation and ask from the commission, we've got together, this pulls all of them into one agreement and puts it on a 1-year cycle with auto-renewing that either party can obviously bring up before that 1 year to make any changes. So trying to make it easy for both parties involved. They have already signed it.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, I have some highlights from our appropriation ordinance. Annixter Incorporated, $2,561.79. This is has to do with street lighting and department supplies for the electric department. Asheville Tree Expert Company, $12,838.40. We have Axle Overhead Doors, $2,686. This has to do with the public service building. B&L Electric, this is for the NIP substation, which is now 70% complete, $499.65. We have B&G Consultants Incorporated, $27,380, and this has to do with various things like the 100 acres plotting out on West First Street, and also some street maintenance things. We have Border States Electric Supply. These are grounding platforms and LB elbows, spool ties, etc. for the electric department, $7,103.87. We have Casco Industries Incorporated, $7,186.25. This is for equipment and tools for the new truck for the fire chief. We have Coffeyville Regional Medical Center, $97,052.68, and this is the sales tax distribution. We have Cross Discipline and Engineering. This is pay estimate number 29 for the NIP substation upgrade, $30,648.94. DeLong Landon Public Finance. This is payment number 21 for the golf cart leases, $2,240. J&S Machine and Valve. These are for some relief valve repairs and testing in the electric department, $6,624. We have the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, $7,200. This has to do with the 2024 emissions fee and has with the electric department. KMGA Gas Supply Operating Fund, $281,910. We have Kone Incorporated, $2,156.28. This has to do with elevator repair at the Public Emergency Services Building on West 11th. Coppers Utility and Industrial. This is for 23 40x2 wood poles for the electric department, $17,050.25. We have McLarty Daniel Buick GMC. This is for 3 trucks that we had approved to purchase a couple meetings ago. We have one for the wastewater water treatment plant. We have one for code enforcement and another one for public service. Those totaled $102,105. Worldwide Diesel Power. This has to do over 6 payments, $194,849.04. This has to do with the maintenance on the 18K and 24K generators out at the new gen plant. We also have payroll, $400,579.27. That's it.
No questions.
I will move to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Okay, we move on to the 2025 appropriation ordinance number AO-25-06A for Ishams and Lieberts in the amount of $41.67.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Number 4, 2025 appropriation ordinance AO-25-06A.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks to approve item 4 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Abstain.
Okay, moving on to comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. The commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Do we have any comments? Okay. All right, then we will move on to the regular agenda items, public hearings, special presentations, and proclamations. We have a proclamation declaring April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Coffeyville, Kansas. And I will read the proclamation. Samantha Merritt, Assistant Director of Healthy Families, Kansas, with the Kansas Children's Service League, will be in attendance. Hello. Okay, I will just go ahead and read that. So, Child Abuse Prevention Month, 2025 proclamation, April 1st, 2025. Whereas, every family and child is filled with tremendous promise, and we all have a collective responsibility to prevent adverse childhood experiences, foster the potential of every child, and promote positive childhood experiences. And whereas positive childhood experiences, such as loving caregivers and safe, stable, and nurturing relationships, play a vital role in helping children thrive by mitigating trauma and the negative impact of adverse childhood experiences. And whereas families who receive the support they need before a crisis occurs are better equipped to provide safe, healthy, and nurturing environments, leading to children who are safer, healthier, and more hopeful about their futures. And whereas childhood trauma, including abuse and neglect, can have a long-term physical, emotional, and physical effect throughout an individual's lifetime and impact future generations. And whereas primary prevention of child abuse and neglect can reduce the lifetime economic burden associated with child maltreatment. And whereas strengthening families through access to concrete economic, social, and community-based supports reduces the likelihood of abuse and neglect and ensures children have the foundation for lifelong well-being. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because the partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, and families. And whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create strong and thriving children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to increase awareness about child abuse and contribute to promoting the social and emotional well-being of children and families in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas investments in prevention initiatives such as home visiting programs, family strengthening policies, economic supports, and community-based child abuse prevention efforts are essential to building safer, healthier communities for children and families. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families, therefore I, Deborah Maples, Mayor of Coffeyville, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Coffeyville. Together, we can create a state where every child can grow up happy, healthy, safe, and with hope for their future. Thank you. Thank you. Now, on to old business. We have the second reading of Ordinance S-25-02, a home rule ordinance of the City of Coffeyville, Kansas, relating to the Coffeyville Regional Medical Center.
We're going to kick that can down, request to kick that can down the road again. I do meet with the hospital tomorrow on another matter, and we will be discussing this further to try to get this cleaned up one way or another from our agenda.
Okay, we just need to table, right?
Yep.
Okay. I move we table ordinance S-25-02.
Second.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Edwards to table ordinance S-25-02. Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to new business. Resolution R-25-27, a resolution making certain findings and determinations as to the need for housing within the City of Coffeyville and setting forth the legal description of real property proposed to be designated as one or more reinvestment housing incentive districts within the city. Director of Community Development, Amber Dean, will make comments.
Hello. This resolution establishes a reinvestment housing incentive district in Coffeyville to help address the city's ongoing housing shortage. By designating this district, the city can offer financial incentives to support new housing development, encourage private investment, and promote community growth, all without raising taxes of the current citizens. The city is currently working on the preliminary plat for the 100-acre site included in the RHID district. This resolution is simply the next step in getting the area ready for future development. It also moves us forward in the formal process required by the state to make this district official. If you guys have any questions about it?
I didn't. I read the material and
Yeah, it's pretty
Alrighty.
self-explanatory and up there.
Alrighty.
Sounds good. If there's no further questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-25-27.
Second.
As presented.
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Faulkner to approve Resolution R-25-27 as presented. Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
I
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye. Okay, Resolution R-25-28, a resolution to award a contract to JKS Construction Incorporated for repairs to the storm sewer at Fifth and Santa Fe. Director of Public Works, Jim Wright, will make comments. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you commissioners doing tonight?
Good.
Great.
This is for a contract to repair at Fifth and Santa Fe, had a collapse of a culvert that runs underneath Fifth Street that goes east-west for a block, and then it turns and goes north and eventually ties back into the Verdigris River. So this is just a portion of it that we were needing to repair. I don't know exactly when. It's been over 8 months ago that this collapsed. And our engineer has recommended JKS Construction, who is the low bid.
Notice there's a $151,000 difference between the low and the high bid on that. Why are we getting it so low?
I would say that someone is hungrier than someone from Wichita.
yeah. Doing this from Wichita would be
Yeah.
difficult,
Yeah.
costly for
The-
them.
this
But two of them
contractor's-
are sort of in
The
line.
low bid is out of Girard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make a point that just doing the quick calc, our local construction firm there was about 6% over the low bid, and we sometimes have a stipulation that if they're within 5%, we can go to them, but if they exceed that a little bit, so.
Yes. Taking that in consideration, that's why we did recommend. the low
And,
bid.
okay. And just another question with this, and I'm gonna ask the same question on the next one. This will involve some street repair, will it?
Yes.
Yeah.
they're-
So, how do you know that they're gonna repair that section of the street correctly, perspec with a new, because they're gonna dig down deep, so they gotta do the dirt right and the base right and asphalt right, so it won't drop or collapse a little bit later.
The recommended, the engineering firm that recommended Algier Martin also will be doing inspections.
Okay. As they go.
Yes.
And tell them how to do that part, okay.
Correct.
That's all I have.
Then I move to approve Resolution R-25-28. Resolution to award contract to JKS Construction, Inc. for repairs to the storm sewer at Fifth and Santa Fe.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Edwards to approve Resolution R-25-28 as presented. Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples. Aye. Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Okay, Resolution R-25-29, a resolution to award a construction contract to CDL Electric for replacement of a water main on West 6th. Director of Public Works, Jim Wright, will make comments.
This is part of our street repair projects for 2025 on West 6th Street and West 7th Street. This water line is on West 6th Street between Cheyenne and I believe Fresno is the west end of that. This water line is under the edge of the asphalt, so we're moving it a few feet to get it out from underneath there. And these are, and that is correct, it's CDL Electric. This is their water division, but still CDL Electric. They were the low bid of the bids that we got.
Have they done work like this before for us?
Not for us. Not for us, but they have started this, and they've been doing this for several years. They're in a lot of different areas.
Right.
They do a lot of things.
So this goes back, same question I have. JKS construction firm seemed like they'd probably done some repairs, and getting the street back. CDL Electric doesn't maybe sound like somebody that has done the proper street repair to get it back. But either way, this would be, say, short-term or temporary, because you're going to go back and redo that street later?
Yes, this is a
Within
total reconstruction of the
3 to
street,
4
but they're
years.
moving, they're just building the water line
Out,
out, away.
okay. So.
And they will
Alger
be tying
Martin-
back in.
Right, Alger Martin's going to basically help Coach tell them how to do the street repair?
No, they are not doing any street repairs.
No, well, okay.
They're just moving the
Just
water
they're
line.
moving the water line.
This is water line only.
Yeah. This is just the
Street
water line.
repairs down the road.
Yeah.
Right, but they're gonna, if it's under the street now, they have to dig down?
We're not
No?
removing it.
You're not removing it?
No.
Okay. Okay. It just said in the bid, contractor is to be responsible for all road and driveway repairs, all backfill and seeding of grass areas. It says that right there.
All the driveways, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Jim, are we going to be doing any kind of or are we going to need to do any kind of drainage adjustments to that road before we do the actual replacement of the road itself?
That would all be included in that. It's all together.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
I'll move to approve resolution R-25-29 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Mayor Maples, to approve Resolution R-25-29 as presented. Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
All right. Resolution R-25-30, a resolution to execute a contract with McGrath Consulting for compensation, restructuring, and analysis. City Manager Ben Brubaker will make comments.
Thank you. Allison liked to be here, wasn't able to make it, so I am taking this for her. I won't read through the complete staff report, just give some background. This year, in 2024, for 2025, we had a wage opener in our union contract negotiations. And so it became very apparent, both Allison, our HR staff, and the union has frustrations over the years on how we have managed our pay scales. There's been a variety of different approaches. Those has changed as recently as in the last 5 years under our last city manager. We have several issues of compression now, of steps as you come across different positions that are meshing up to against each other. We have provisions within our union agreements that if you work out of step, there's a certain amount of percentages. So anyways, our wages are kind of colliding at this point. And so this would be one of the, the highest issue that each of the unions have discussed with me is on the steps and what do we do and how do we move forward. Analysis had been being done using the League of Kansas Municipalities wage data. Definitely not an analysis. Cities will essentially report in what their different wages and salary structures are. Very quickly, you have different positions in different cities. That doesn't always align up, but the staff has done their best over the years to try to align those up, both with salaries on the rise, coming out of COVID, trying to compete with the private market. This is something that is highly needed in order to get back on an appropriate track, and this will set us up for success in the future. part of these, specifically on the union side, these negotiations call for steps throughout your contract, so 3 years at a time. And so that's what this would be doing, and hopefully set us up for some success moving forward. This particular company that we've reached out to, they're out of Tennessee. They came recommended from several Kansas cities, as well as our labor attorney that's out of Kansas City. We did reach out to a local Wichita, Kansas group that I had experience with at the county, and got a quote from them as well. McGrath did come in lower on that, and also they kind of specialize in unions, and so they understand it, whereas the one out of Wichita had not had experience in their office on union contracts. So this is probably, again, the major issue in our full negotiations this year. This will take, we're anticipating about 4 months to go and get complete, which will set us up for then to get those contracts negotiated. Of course, we could go through this wage study, and our unions could have problems with the way it was done. There would still have to be negotiations done, but this is, I think, putting forth some good effort to ensure and back it up by experts that we are walking in confident with what those studies are. Any questions?
Okay.
I'm good.
No, I
I'm
have
good.
none. I will move to approve Resolution R-25-30 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster, to approve Resolution R-25-30 as presented. Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Okay, we will now have the city manager's report.
Thank you. A few things on the list to go over. The first would be electric rates. We've talked about this in several meetings here with the public. So the public is aware, this last week we had meetings with staff, and each commissioner broke that into 3 different meetings, which staff feels were very productive in both expressing where we believe we are and what the path is forward, and trying to come up with appropriate resolutions to the increases and where they affect, of course, the increase in prices, supply chain, those sort of things on the rise. With that, as we had those conversations, we recognize further need to continue to get this right. In our analysis, and this was staff's analysis of comparing wages throughout the area. Of course, we compare up to about 67 different cities and utility organizations. We noticed that both our customer charge and our demand charges on the corporate account side are significantly higher than others. And so we're going through and analyzing that now. As we were making recommended changes, we were worried that there was going to be economic impacts for both retaining and attracting businesses, so we wanted to make sure now to really button that side up. So we do anticipate having that ready for our next meeting to take this to a vote. We'll keep both the public and commission updated on that, but that's the status of where we are right now. We want to get this right. Feel like there's been a variety of we'll call it issues, not pointing at any particular person or commission, but we're trying to get it right. We're trying to boil down. We want to be confident. We want you to be confident as you talk to the public and as staff does, that we're making these decisions based on the facts that we have, facts that we know, and the future of where commission wants to see from both policy and budget perspective the city go. The Wartzilla engines, still actively working on our issues there. Of course, you've heard that the biggest of the issues is the damaged springs. We are, of our $352,000 in contingency spending that we came as part of this project, we're at about $84,000 remaining of that contingency, and we expect to spend nearly all of it. We're still in some back and forth negotiations with the costs with Wartzilla, And so we may exceed that, and if so, of course, we will bring that to commission when we've surpassed our contingency, but currently we're still working within the contingency. It's going to be close. We're hopeful it'll be under, but we still haven't gone all the way through the other engines to see what else we may find there. So giving an update there. Good moment to just talk trash again. Any questions that commissioners have with Melissa here? Anything we can answer? Are we feeling confident? Any thoughts?
I got my trash can.
Got your trash can. That's good.
Can you just,
I got one more than I was supposed to.
Okay, well.
can you just highlight very
Sure.
quickly about the important things to remember this week about leaving your card out and
Yes.
then,
Yes.
et cetera?
Definitely.
Please.
So just for a reminder, this is for residents inside city limits only. It does not affect commercial businesses. All poly carts have been delivered. We put a message out on Facebook. I was on the radio this morning, put it on our website. It's running in the paper tomorrow, that if you did not get a cart or you did not get the amount of carts you paid for, to call the clerk's office. Waste Connections, we are sending them a list every day, and they are going through and I think picking up some carts that were delivered by mistake, and then also delivering the ones that were missed. So yeah, as far starting today for Tuesday trash on their regular day, they just need to leave their poly carts out at the curb. Republic will be by to pick that up, and that's going to be the same for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and next Monday. So continue to use your Republic Service cart through Monday. Republic Services will not pick up trash out of the Waste Connection carts, which we have had a few incidents of. So use your Republic Services cart through Monday, March 31st, and just leave it out at the curb, and they will come by and pick it up. And then starting Friday, April 4th, next Friday, the whole town will be picked up by Waste Connections. They will start at 5 a.m. in the morning, similar to what Republic did. So make sure that the cart's out by 5 a.m. and of course you can put it out Thursday evening as well. Any outdoor services? So if customers now receive outdoor services, they will receive that with Waste Connection also on Friday. Waste Connections is going to go around. They had to order some cans with yellow lids. That's how they are going to decipher what is at door and what is regular pickup. So in case there is a stand-in driver or something like that on the route, they know if there's a yellow lid, they pick it up at the door. So we've also put out information that if you have at-the-door services and you do not have that switched out this Friday, to contact the clerk's office. We'll make sure that we get that changed so they can continue to receive the at-door services. And then the first bulk pickup will be next Friday, April 4th, and that is going to be for Section 1, the Northwest section. So the town's basically split into two sections at Beach and 11th Street. The Northwest section will be the first Friday of the month. The Southeast section will be the third Friday of each month. So for April, Northwest section will be April 4th. Southeast section will be April 18th. Something a little bit different, residents will have to call or email Waste Connections about their pickup. And the deadline for that request is 4 p.m. The Thursday before your pickup. So right up till that Thursday at 4 p.m. you can email or call and request a pickup. The number, the email, all this information is updated on the city's website under the trash information, and there's also on the homepage of the website as well, all this information, so it's easy to find and not have to go into the departments to find it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, any questions, any concerns that you've heard? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We had a pre-construction meeting for the tennis courts, so expect to see work starting in the tennis courts here in mid-April. Our downtown grants, we went through an application process. We received nine applications for that process. If you recall, we were going to award 6, and those could be a maximum of $20,000. We got to a point where Not everyone had requested that full amount. Of course, there's a match on the end that they have to do, and some people just didn't have projects that were that big. And so the three remaining, we, goodness of our hearts, wanted to come back and go, we had a budget of this money, intended to do it, and so we're variation of working with those folks. Some did not put projects on there that was the intent of the grant, and so those were either scored down so they weren't awarded, or just we weren't going to do it. So we did reach back out to a few of them to have those conversations and suggest, hey, we'll give you a chance here. Let's kind of redo this application. We're still having one or two of those conversations to see if we can get all the way down. But the good news would be then that there are 9 of these downtown both businesses / property owners that are going to utilize this grant. If you recall, this grant was passed by a vote of the public. There's a portion of a 50-cent sales tax that goes specifically to downtown. And so staff obviously is working where we can with that money, with both from the city's perspective as well as the property owners in downtown. This time around was a focus on the facade and the look. Many of these applications were addressing code enforcement issues that we've seen and tried to figure out how to deal with. And so we're happy about that as we sat down and look at some of those issues will be addressed with this grant money. I don't recall if we mentioned this last time, our Golf Pro Shop. If you recall a few meetings ago that we had approval for getting a new roof on that. Some issue with the contractor licensing and out of state. They are now unable to repair that. So we are out trying to get other quotes. It's now warm enough where contractors will come out and bid those out. So you will see that come back onto the agenda. That was unable to be completed. In April, I think it's April 9th, Mayor Maples, myself, and Jim Wright, along with the same representatives from the City of Independence, will be traveling up to Topeka to meet with the Lieutenant Governor. He would like to meet with us to discuss water treatment in the county. The state has some ideas and recommendations on how they'd like to see the county work together, especially at the age of our treatment plants. Of course, these are going to be multi-year, I think, studies and conversations in the future. This is not pausing the needs that we have on our water treatment plant. We continue to work on those and look into severe options that we need to upgrade. So not pausing any, but we're absolutely happy to have the conversations that the Lieutenant Governor is leading, and we will see where that goes. And we will, of course, bring back a report probably to our second meeting in April on how that meeting went. Commissioners, that's all I have.
Comments from commissioners or staff?
I'm curious where we are on the Feaster Park fountain.
Actively being worked on. A week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, electric came out. We have to find a way to get electricity out to that spot. I don't know. Jim, do you know, is there a timeline on when electric is going to bring electricity out to the fountain at Feaster Park?
We do not have that timeline yet. We need to, I think Public Service is going to do the trenching and jackhammering to get it there. We have had those discussions, so hopefully here in the next 30 to 60 days it'll be complete.
Yeah, there's been things worked on as far as restoring the grate and some other work. So work had been going through the winter as well. We've done some work in the spring. Last meeting we had approved, you approved in the appropriations ordinance some spend to bring water into it. So it is actually being worked on.
So I know the water meter did get installed yesterday,
Oh,
actually.
cool.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
Do we need to hire somebody to do the landscaping in that fountain area?
They're
Because years back when it was
to be
operational,
determined.
it was,
Well, there's a group that came in on their own and had been caring for the area, and part of us going in, they actually had put dirt inside the fountain and were growing things out of that. And so we called them, let them know what we were doing. We took all of that out. So there may be still a relationship there moving forward. Of course, we've got a Parks Department that is watching and concerned about that, so.
Can we check
Good
that
question.
out
I don't know
and-
yet. Yeah.
Well, if anybody wants to start a garden club,
There used to be one.
there's not anymore.
Our new, I can't remember the name of the program, but we started using a new program after you came on board for our employees to clock in and out. What was
Yes.
the name of that?
Paylocity.
Who is required to clock in and out on that? Is it every city employee?
Any hourly employee will clock in and out on that.
Why would you not use it for your salaried people?
Because FLSA says that even a salaried person, if they work 1 hour,
Mhm.
is paid that full amount. So we have labor laws in there.
How do you know that they're getting to work on time?
How do I know that they're getting to work on time?
Mhm.
Well, I think there's probably a variety of approach to that. Is there a particular issue you're considering? Because I'd go further with it and
Yeah.
say that performance in general, which Paylocity is, we're also, in fact, we met this week with HR in our next implementation, and performance management is part of that. We meet with KU next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to talk about high-performing organizations.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't say that that a car and parking lot or butt and seat always equals the work getting done. We have a variety of salary people. You're right, there's probably 20, 25 that are non-union
Mhm.
that would fall into a salary category. So
You could say the
if
same.
you're seeing any issues, I'd be happy to look at those and address, but
How do we, when our police officers take home their vehicles,
not all of them, but yes.
okay.
In city limits.
Many of them
Yeah.
that live in the city limits are taking their vehicles home. A butt and a seat in that circumstance is certainly part of what you just said. So in the circumstance of police officers on their way to work, they're supposed to be here at, I don't know, 7. And they see something that
They clock in and out.
at the station.
Well, I don't know exactly how they're doing it right now. We have the
Yeah.
ability within Paylocity, and Allison's been meeting this week to keep cleaning up the rest of our payroll entries in there, because we've still had,
Okay.
our union contracts are so complex with 4 different unions, we have to build it out 4 different times for each of them. So we have the ability within Paylocity to put that on cell phones and clock in and out. We have the ability to, when they call, and I don't remember what the designation is when you call in to dispatch so they know you're on the clock. So I don't know that we've gone that far to know exactly how we're doing that with different situations in each union, but it's actively being worked on.
One thing, when the trash issue came up, and Melissa started letting people know through the city websites that there was going to be a change, and you've done a fantastic job of that, by the way. I've seen a number of comments from citizens wanting some kind of a recycling possibility. I sent you an email about what they do in Bartlesville.
Yes.
I know, because I've been part of 2 studies that the city's done over the years, that the economics are not there for us to have an at-home curbside recycling program, but I would like to get a consensus of the commission to instruct the staff to look at implementing something similar to what they have in Bartlesville, where they have a recycling location and people can drop their stuff off there. And I feel like we should offer something, if it's at all possible, as long as what we do doesn't end up in a landfill anyway. I don't
Yeah.
want to give the appearance that we're actually doing something good for the environment and then turn out for it just to be window dressing.
I've reached out to the company that you pointed out. I have
Oh,
not
good.
called Bartlesville themselves to ask them how it works, but have not received any communication back from that company.
Okay.
They're out of California.
Yeah.
Couldn't find a local contact for them, so probably the next step would be to call Bartlesville and see how they manage it. But as I read on the website, they actually have the land and the location is theirs, that they're partnering with this group as opposed to
Yeah.
this group has the space.
For me, it would just depend on benefit versus cost, net cost to us, what it would take, manpower and
Well,
just
sure.
management, capital law. And we did, you said you were part of 2 studies. When I was on the commission last time, they did it then, that's the 3rd study. Back then it was our trash collector company wanted $250,000.
Oh, yeah, it was way
They
out of
wanted,
whack.
we were gonna have to pay them to collect and then recycle, and then they got the revenue from the actual material that we were recycling, and so that was a no from the city. And times change,
Non-starter.
there's other, everybody knows there used to be a recycling place down in South Walnut that took magazines and newspapers, and you can still take your pop
Yeah.
cans to.
You can
Findings.
drop your
But-
pop, you can drop your pop cans off at the spot, at the.
Yeah, that too.
the
But when it
Coffeyville
comes
feed-
to
the-
newspaper,
Yeah, Coffeyville
cardboard.
feed, and then out of 11th Street, you
Yeah,
can do
next to the
that.
ice machine.
Yeah, and that goes to,
Animal
Coffeyville Friends of
shelter.
Animals.
Friends found.
Yeah.
But I've been to friends' houses in big cities that have their trash, and then they have their recycle bin that just has all recyclables put in. They sort it out, but that's also in big cities where there's
Exactly.
a lot of volume that allows that to happen. And I don't really know, I don't know in the big cities if they actually pay somebody to have that service, or they offer it free and get the recycled material and get revenue from that. Not sure.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah, I'd be
have to
happy
look into it again.
I'll do a follow-up with that company anyways, and I'll call Bartlesville and ask
Okay.
them about it. We did, as part of our study, Melissa reached out to each of the different groups to verify,
Yeah.
and none of them that came back and bid do any type of recycling
Yeah.
service, so.
The last thing I have is,
Did we, I'm sorry, back to did you have a resolution on the hourly salary time clock?
I'll talk to you more privately about it.
Okay.
The last thing I have is, I get an email from the city of Bartlesville, their city email every week. I just like to kind of keep track of what they do down there, because my perception is that it's a very well-run city. One thing they're in the process of getting ready to do, and something that we've done in the past but haven't done for over a decade now, that I feel strongly we need to do again, is a community survey. And I will grant you that very often these community surveys there's no great revelation in them usually. But I feel like it's never a bad idea to go to the public with some, genuinely straightforward questions, and ask them their opinions on things, and ask them to give, priorities about, from their opinions, what they would like to see us budget for and take action on, and also to judge how well of a job they think that the city is doing on, important things like streets. So I would like for us to contract with the company that did it the last time, or take bids and do another community survey and try to tailor it as close to the last one as possible, because I think it was a good survey. Add some questions that are more, about issues that have come up in the last few years,
Yeah.
and get some direction from the public.
I have a difficult time swallowing surveys like that. I think they're very, that survey, to your point, was done in 2012, 13.
Yeah, I think.
It's so old, and the process to get it done. So I would point towards independence. And so this is something that Amber and Ashley and I have been talking about on the community survey front.
Mhm.
What I like that Independence did is they got down to specific things in town. So for example, those new ball fields, right? And it's with UR codes, and instead of 40 minutes of questions you're trying to get someone through mail to answer, you're providing it digitally. So I went back and looked at that company, still not real impressed with the way they do it now, but we have a list of other companies we've been looking at that we can get down and nail into specific things. So Feaster Park, and
Okay.
options there. So I would totally agree with needing to do community surveys and a change the approach, but I think doing the same one we did in 12, and I'd be happy to sit down
I'm
and show you.
fine with that. I just feel strongly we need to do a community survey.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
my-
I think we need specific results. To your point, again, answering all the questions, I went through that page
Yeah.
by page. You sent that to me. And it's how safe do you feel about this? How safe? Very generalized questions that it's hard for us to then go and truly act on that. I think
I understand.
a lot of those companies now are helping you get specific
Drill
and
down.
target areas, all with the ability to go and act then.
That's fine.
On that. So.
Does anybody object to doing a community survey?
In a way, I object because, and here's why. Last time I was on commission, we had a community survey. I predicted what it was going to say, and it was exactly what I predicted, and we know it's the same thing. Streets, they wanted parks, clean up the town, some action in downtown. It's like we know the answers. It's the same answers. They really haven't changed. But we're making action on streets because they passed the sales tax. We're making action on parks. That's moving forward. These are good things that has answered, the concerns of citizens for the last 25, 30 years. And there's action being taken. Now, if there was a question, like you said, what else would people like to see at Feaster Park or something? But the survey I remember back then and the one you're talking about in 2012, 13, it's just so generic. I can predict what the answers are going to be. And so it's just, to me, I feel like it's $50,000 thrown out the window that we could make better use of. I don't want to do a survey like that because I feel like I already know what the people want because they tell me. And it's the same theme and has been for a long time until we fix the streets well, till we, get the parks better, until we clean up. They want houses torn down, blight, nuisance. It's the same stuff over and over.
This
And
town-
we just have to keep making progress on those things.
Yeah, this town's seen a lot of politicians come and go, Commissioner Hendricks, that said exactly what you just said, and those were the politicians that tore down the park at Feaster Park, built an 18-hole golf course, built a $7 million football stadium, and then we found out in retrospect a lot of people didn't want those things to happen. So I respectfully am suggesting that I think in most cases I would allow that you're correct, but I think it's always the safe bet to let the people have a voice. I mean, it's been 12 years. What does it hurt? It's a little bit of money. I mean, I could say the same thing about
It's money.
It is, and I could say the same thing about the wage issue that we took action on tonight. I could look at the city wages and fix that. It's better to have an outside source come in and do certain things, and that way you're dealing with good information, and there's no. The city's done surveys itself before, internally, and the first thing people would say is, well, somebody is putting their finger on the scale here and making this result come out this way or that way.
But you're saying a third party,
Yeah.
a disinterested
Well,
third party.
We just as an example from the micro scale in community development, we've done 2 since I've been here.
Mhm.
One, it was just downtown. We didn't get extreme responses from business and property owners, but we're still in the middle of one for businesses throughout town. I think we're at 170 responses. Is Amber 170 responses right now?
Yeah.
So we're at 170 responses. On the downtown one, here in April and May, we will be walking, myself, Amber, our new community development staff, to each of them and speaking to them. So I think my answer really solves what both of you are saying on the other side, is that you don't want to do a survey that also doesn't then act on those things. So
Sure.
how do we target this so that we are,
Yeah.
it's not spending extreme amounts of money for
Yeah.
generalized information, but it is asking people for
I'm okay
thoughts
with
and
that.
opinion.
I'm
We're
okay with
still
that.
acting on the survey from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's housing,
and-
parks, streets, blight, new cleanup things, downtown.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Cons-
the same. Now, if it was, I don't know how we do it. really targeted survey of.
But we need their help prioritizing those things. In conclusion, I think at some point in the next year or two, we're going to need to also look at updating the city's comprehensive plan. You mentioned things that we don't always do a good job of following up on.
Yeah, that's the views on the comprehensive plans of the past of paperweights is what it sounds
Yeah.
like. Go back to
I
how we
read the
act
last
on
one.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And look, the comprehensive
Your
plans
name's
should
on
be
it.
a living document too. You are going to
Sure.
change and affect
Things
as you go move
change.
forward. But yeah, we've got plans in place that by year 2 they weren't, being managed, and that's for a variety of reasons, I'm sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a comment. Commissioner Edwards has brought up some issues that I'd like to have discussed either.
Uh-oh.
Not tonight, but and we need to think about it in the next, I'd say, 3 to 6 months. And one of them was a blight nuisance ordinance. And I did go and read, I think, the one from Parsons. And one thing that caught my attention I've actually asked for this past year is one for, they call it excessive vegetation. And I see a lot of areas around town that we don't have anything really for that called excessive vegetation. But they laid it out pretty well to where it would impede mowing. There's trash in it. Trees and plants growing around the garage where you can't even see it anymore, things like that. And it was worded pretty well from other towns. And then abandoned and vacant buildings from Emporia, Independence, and Parsons, they have codes for that. They seemed well worded. We could adapt to our needs. And then the one on used goods dealers, we've talked about that, I know, for many times before. 15 years is just getting the verbiage right to handle those sort of situations.
Well, it's further too, and that's
Yeah.
something in my emails I have no problem with
Coming up with
creating as
some-
many ordinances as we want, but both budgeting for and then enforcing the provisions that you put in there. And I would suggest that we have several that, for again, variety of reasons, are not enforced to the letter of that. So the intent behind those, although appropriate, again, sure you made an ordinance, but what are we doing about it? What's the action statement? Just like the survey. And so that could absolutely be an exercise, both from those ordinances, but also we are now, which Matt was here, several years into our building codes, and there's a lot of cities that are already adopted to the next set of codes. It's every few years. That's going to come in behind it as well. So there's a lot of efforts to clean that up. I think back to priorities on what those are and how do we address them and how do we attack them. If it's, the 3 things that you just mentioned, is that needs to be the priorities. Are they an ordinance? If not, yep, let's add to them. But then what is our action plan to go do
It was a good
that?
thing other towns have tackled those things, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can definitely use those examples and maybe be less work to do so. Another thing Commissioner Edwards has brought up, not a big deal, maybe not something to implement this summer or this year, but next year, is inventory management at the snack bar, at the aquatic center, and the golf.
I already have quotes for that software.
And, scan things in and revenues matching
Yeah,
what
it-
inventory's going out.
Snack bar is minimal. Amazon purchases that you see on there, right? Fleet management, just assets, desks and chairs, and as at the county, they do a decent job of that. Every item comes in, gets a tag number. Yes, all of those things. So that's something that, for all intents and purposes, that staff we haven't seen where that's ever been done, and there are some concerns around that. As part of of course, this is 10 months in the making. We've been looking at Edmunds GovTech and also Encode version 10 and trying to decide how to move forward. And those inventory control at all levels are on those quotes. Just got the quotes on my desk today for the Encode version 10.
Okay, and one last thing, and I asked this because I was asked. You talked about pre-construction being on the tennis courts. When is expected the finish date? Mid-July?
June.
June? End of June?
I would say he started with, we can have this done by June, and then there was a pause and goes, maybe I should say 1st of July.
Weather permitting, so that means mid-July.
Yes.
End of July, max.
Sometime
Okay.
this summer.
Okay.
We're,
I'm
we're,
just-
we're pushing for June,
I
but
didn't know if
I
it
would
would
push- I'd
be
say
because of
July.
work or waiting for in between things, it'd be August or September. I think a lot of people are really wanting it
yeah.
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the only thing I had, I was just thinking earlier today, and you've come up with the whole blight thing. I think everybody now, it's getting spring, we're feeling like we need to get outside. I would encourage everybody to get out and clean up your own yard and get things ready. Make Coffeyville presentable. Make Coffeyville your part of Coffeyville, your yard, your little piece of Coffeyville, something that we could all be proud of. And just, it doesn't cost anything to clean up your yard and make it look nice. And if you need help, I'm sure there are groups out there that would be glad to help. I can
It's-
tell you a lot of kids are trying to get camp money. So, it's
8th
not.
Street, I'm driving down today, 3 businesses, remodeling, painting, putting in windows, 2 of them that I had ever seen any action on before. Maybe it's just that time of the year and people do want to get out, but yeah, follow suit. Let's,
Little
our Paint the
things.
Town project, we've got lots of people
Yep.
that get on and do
Mhm.
that. We have programs at the city too to help support those initiatives where we can. That's great.
Okay, anything
Okay.
else? Okay.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. We will now move to executive session. We have 2. I am going to make a motion to recess to executive session for 2 purposes. First, to discuss matters relating to security measures as permitted by KSA 75-4319B12 of the Open Meetings Act, to include the city attorney, city manager, director of finance, director of IT, and a representative from Huber and Associates for a period of 30 minutes. Second, to discuss matters deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as permitted by KSA 75-4319B2 of the Open Meetings Act, to include the city manager, city attorney, and director of finance for a period of 10 minutes to reconvene in the commission room at, 40 minutes. Let's make it 8:15 just to make sure we've got everything covered.
Yes.
Okay?
Good.
Motion is made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Commissioner Edwards, to recess to executive session for 2 purposes. First, to discuss matters relating to security measures as permitted by KSA 75-4319B12 of the Open Meetings Act, to include the city attorney, city manager, director of finance, director of IT, and a representative from Huber Associates for a period of 30 minutes. Second, to discuss matters deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as permitted by KSA 75-4319B2 of the Open Meetings Act, to include the city manager, city attorney, and director of finance for a period of 10 minutes to reconvene in the commission room at 8:15 p.m. Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards. Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
That will give us time.
do you just want to put 8:30?
Let's do 8:30.
8:30. All right. Commissioner Edwards? Commissioner Hendricks? Vice Mayor Van Oster? Commissioner Faulkner? Mayor Maples?
All right, we are back, and for executive session matter number 1, to discuss matters relating to security measures, I will move to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a 3-year agreement with Huber and Associates to implement cybersecurity and related measures on behalf of the city of Coffeyville.
I'll second.
Can I
Yes,
did
let me-
not get
yes,
all of
sorry.
that. Thank you. I started out, but I didn't have it all. Okay, motion is made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster, to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a 3-year agreement with Huber and Associates to implement cybersecurity and related measures on behalf of the city of Coffeyville. Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Okay. And executive session number 2, to discuss matters deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. No action has been taken. Now,
Now you can,
Yes, ma'am.
now you can do it.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Edwards, second by Vice Mayor Van Oster to adjourn. Can I see a show of hands? Thank you, thank you. Thank you.